Hi everyone, how are you today? So this is my second video and I hope you enjoyed the first one. So today I'm going to discuss to you what is the significance or importance of studying literature. So unconsciously, there is a nature in us that cannot be denied. We want to talk about people and we want to know about people. And this helps us to understand what life is by reflecting the life of others. And as we watch or read the life of others, we get something out from it. We get something in life that we can apply to our very own. In one of the objectives of education, we know very well that education develops personality. However, it is not only to develop your knowledge to your course or target profession, but to be mature in dealing in life or dealing with life. Okay, and the students could not learn what life is in engineering, accountancy, computer, accounting, etc. Life could be learned from the life of others. We could say that literature teaches us how to live. It is in literature that where hopefully students learn the art of living. Okay, so because of literature, we would be able to know how to live our life, how to seek the purpose of our life. So literature represents a language, because language is culture and it is part of people's tradition. But literature is more important than historical or cultural artifacts. Okay, and literature introduces us to new worlds of experiences. Ultimately, we may discover meaning in literature by looking at what the author says and how he or she says about it. So I'm going to enumerate 10 importance of literature. First is literature helps us to grow personally and intellectually. We know that because of literature, we will be able to understand the kind of person that we are. At the same time, because of literature, it helps us to develop our intellect, because we are going to read a lot of things. Okay, and number 2, it links us to the rest of the world of which we are a part. Why it links us to another dimensions of the world or another parts of the world? Because by reading the masterpieces or stories or poems or other forms of literature by authors from other continents, would be able to, of course, link their thoughts to us, because by reading this masterpiece, we'll be able to understand what kind of people they are in that particular continent, right? Okay, and literature also, number 3, literature helps us to transcend our immediate time, place, and culture, and to make connections with other human beings and their concerns. So transcend. What do you mean by transcend? It goes beyond. Like, for example, we would be able to know at that particular time and place of which that particular masterpiece is written. We would be able to understand in that particular time what kind of people were they, and what specific culture were they trying to practice, and what particular connections did human beings try to connect in that particular era. That is number 3. And number 4, literature encourages us to develop mature empathy with all forms of life, human, animal, and plant. So basically, we know that subjects of literature are basically wide. It can be animals, it can be about nature, it can be about plants, it can also be about human beings. And because of literature, we would be able to understand the deeper meaning of the purposes of these particular objects or human or creations that God creates. Okay, so number 5, literature sharpens our sense of moral judgment. So because of literature, we will be able to understand why a particular person was able to do that, and why a particular person was able to decide on that particular situation. So because of that, our judgment will be more, shall I say, it will widen our understanding, and we would be able to understand. Like for example, in the story of the Scarlet Letter, we are not going to judge the main character in the story why she was wearing a letter A in her chest. It's big letter A, because that means adultery. And so because of that particular situation or story, you would be able to understand, we would be able to decide why she was able to do that particular thing. And number 6, literature stimulates our imagination and ingenuity. So by just reading, sometimes you will become part of the character, and it will, shall I say, stimulate your imagination, and as well as ingenuity. You will become, shall I say, a real, shall I say, genius by participating the events in the story, because you will also be deciding, you will also be talking, if you are, shall I say, become part of that particular story that you're going to read. In number 7, it shows the significance of irony, paradox, oxymoron, and ambivalence of life. Because sometimes life is full of paradoxes or oxymoron, like, shall I say, contrasting events or situations. So because of that, we will be able to understand the significance of sometimes why life is ironic. And number 8, literature allows us to see the world in different vantage points. So you will not be able to decide a particular situation by just one point of view. Okay, you are not like a horse that is trying to see one direction, but rather we are going to think out of the box. Okay, so do not contain your, shall I say, judgment inside the box, but we need to think out of the box. We need to be fully aware of what is happening in environment in different perspectives, not in one direction. Number 9 is literature relives history. Because of literature, we know that by just reading, sometimes the author writes something that is really part of history, because literature and history are, shall I say, intertwined or interconnected. So it relieves us, it will, shall I say, reminisce our past. We will be able to reminisce our past. Okay, so it seems like rewinding and knowing the past, so that we will be will be able to understand why did we have war in the first place, and how did the people feel at that particular moment during the war. Okay, and number 10, it reminds us that we are human beings, of course, because we have emotions. That is why literature is all about significant human experiences, because literature, or shall I say, those masterpieces were created by people who were really emotional, shall I say, or who were inspired at that particular moment. And that because sometimes the subject of the masterpiece, or shall I say, what's the story or poem, sometimes it talks about love, it talks about courage, it talks about regret, it talks about sadness, and these are emotions that human beings feel in whatever situations. So by reading pieces of literature or masterpieces, it reminds us that we are human beings and not animals, because we do have the heart, we can feel, we have the emotion. I think that's all for today, and this is basically the importance of literature. Why do we need to study literature in the first place? So those are the 10 points that we need to remember. Okay, that's all for now, and thank you. Bye-bye.